Hello there guys and welcome, it is Niran here and today it is time for me to welcome you to episode number 3 of our Hull City career mode here on FIFA 17, and today of course we are still in the transfer window. We've got a shed load of transfer activity to do. Last time I gave you guys the chance to vote on which central midfielder we should be buying, and you're going to see the result of that briefly over the next 30 seconds in terms of the players that we end up rejecting. We're not going to be signing your Kujlu from Trabzonspor, we're not going to be signing your Hendricks from PSV Eindhoven either. We're rejecting that bid, which means it is now down to Kozielo and Jordan Ferry. We'll also talk about the striker as well that you guys chose in a moment and talk about the other stuff behind that as well. You can see though here Vincent Kozielo is going to be the man that we sign. It's not going to be Jordan Ferry from Lyon. Kozielo actually dominated the vote, so we're going to be signing the midfielder from OGC Nice, 79 overall, 20 years of age, for £13.5 million. He is welcomed to Hull City and he is definitely going to be our marquee signing really of this transfer window. He's got the highest potential out of anyone in the squad and any of the players that we've signed so far. He's got the highest overall of the entire squad as well, 79 overall. He'll be very close to 80 as well, so hopefully we can improve his overall straight away. You can see his attributes, agility being his best one, decent aggression as well as vision and passing stats as well. And in terms of the striker that you guys chose, I gave you the option of Andrea Bellotti. There was also Alassane Player of OGC Nice and this guy Harold Preciado from Deportivo Cali, as well as none of them, and you guys chose Harold Preciado, 75 overall, 22 years of age, and we were going to sign him for nothing plus Mbakani, but unfortunately by the time I was going to sort out the deal had expired, so it's not really any sort of big deal. We can still sign him, we've just got to redo the negotiations. I just want to talk though briefly about Mbakani, because so many people said not to sell him, and it's not a personal thing. It's not a personal thing against Mbakani. I've listened to everyone when it comes to the other players you didn't want me to sell. People like Klukas, Livermore, they'll be going nowhere. Other people that you guys told me not to sell. However, Mbakani, I do want to sell purely because he's aging and I don't like my main players in the squad going down in overall. I would much rather have a player who's exciting and is going to grow than having someone like Mbakani who's 30 years of age who's going to decline as the season goes on. It's just the way I play career modes, you know. I much prefer to have young unknown players than players who are already past their peak and going to decline. It just depresses me seeing my best player going down in overall. It's just the way it is. I really apologise for those that wanted me to keep Mbakani. I knew he wasn't exactly a Hull fan favourite. That's the reason I was going to sell him in the first place. So I do apologise for that. You've just seen that we're going to be selling McGregor as well. Got a much more mixed response about him. You guys weren't really that fussed about whether I sold him or not. There were a few people telling me to keep him, a few people telling me to sell him. We got a decent bid coming from Everton, so we decided to sell him. And we also might be getting some more income from things like this, season tickets and player shirt sales. I didn't actually realise that this money actually went into our transfer budget. We're going to keep tabs over it once we get out of the transfer window, but I think we might actually get the money from like season tickets, which is actually really cool and a really good way of boosting transfer budgets and stuff. In the meantime though, it's time to take a break from transfers and get into the first game of 2 in this episode. The first is in the EFL Cup, or the Capital One Cup as it was once known, against Port Vale, and the second game is against Manchester United in the BPL, so in the EPL even. So for this cup game you can see we've got a slightly different team, a few younger players like Volkvist and Ndidi playing, and Vincent Kozielo is also making his debut, so it's Volkvist and Kozielo making their debuts into the second minute only of this game, and Abel Hernandez with the shot and a good save by Alnwick in the Port Vale goal. So it didn't take us very long to get a chance in this game, but after that Port Vale have sort of stemmed the flow really, and now they're having some chances going forward as well, and Marshall is there to save after Volkvist was beaten in the air. Decent save from Marshall. As I said, a lot of younger players, a lot of fringe players maybe playing in this one, the likes of Klukas or Dubayo is playing in this one as well, so some different people playing. Harry Maguire's getting a start as well at centre back. Port Vale though having another chance. They were really impressing in this game. Vincent Kozielo though trying to get a goal on his debut, but it goes just over the bar. Decent effort from the Frenchman. We'll be hoping he is the main man really in this squad. He's the best overall player, he's got the best potential, he is really going to be the main man throughout this entire series, or so we hope. And it's a good start from a decent shot, but it goes just over the bar. At the edge of half time, and you can see Port Vale with another chance and another save from Marshall. That's 3 big saves for him, and I'm sure he wasn't expecting to be that busy in this game against League One opposition. Into the 73rd minute, Sam Klukas with a chance, and again, this time it's the Port Vale goalkeeper coming out on top. The goalkeeper's definitely shining in this one, and after the 90 minutes, we were probably expected to win this game comfortably, but it is 0-0, and Port Vale are good value money for it. They didn't exactly just sit back and, you know, got lucky to be 0-0. You know, they've attacked, and we could easily be behind them. Into extra time, there we go, 6 minutes into extra time, and Marshall with some good distribution. It's found its way to Hernandez. Now it's Leon Bailey, who's off the bench, and the former Genk winger has got a chance here on his right foot, but it's a great save again from Alnwick in the Port Vale goal. And the goalkeepers are on fire on either end of the pitch. The men in between the sticks are dominating at the moment. Another chance for us. This time it's Robert Snodgrass with the shot. And again, this time at the near post, Alnwick is there to deny us in the 102nd minute. How this game is still 0-0, I do not know. Port Vale going forward again. And again, Marshall is there to deny the Port Vale striker. From the resulting corner, it's going to get swung in by Tavares. Everyone's so tired. Substitutions having to be made. It's found its way into the box. It's been controlled. And again, a save from Marshall. And it's cleared away. And we are actually hanging on at the moment against Port Vale away from home. We're actually really struggling to get any chances in this game. In the 120th minute, though, this is the last chance of the game. Leon Bailey, who's off the bench. Kozielo is there. Kozielo with the chance, but it's a great save at point-blank range from the Port Vale goalkeeper, and that surely will be it, and it is. It's going to go to a penalty shootout here between Hull and Port Vale. It's been a really poor performance so far, but at least we still have a chance to progress into the next round of the Cup. You can see that Tavares of Port Vale will have the first penalty of this shootout. Marshall trying to put him off, and it looks as if he has, because the Port Vale attacking midfielder puts it wide. Abel Hernandez then tucks one away. It's now time for Port Vale to take their second penalty, and he dispatches it very well. Now up steps Kozielo. Interesting run-up, but he tucks it away as well. So we're now leading 2-1 in this shootout. Port Vale, though, hit the post with their third penalty, so we can now go 2 ahead. Leon Bailey with the best penalty of the lot. Lovely penalty from him. He tucks it away. Now it's Port Vale's fourth, and Marshall is there to save it. Leon Bailey takes one again because of the stupid penalty shootout glitch that we have, and we end up winning the shootout 4-1 in the end. Some pretty poor penalties from Port Vale. Decent save, though, from Marshall as well to deny them from the fourth, but a few misses in terms of being on target from Port Vale. We get lucky, to be honest with you, because our performance was not very good. Maguire and Davis were good at the back. I really feel as if Marshall probably should have got man of the match, or the Port Vale goalkeeper in the end. Maguire was given it by the game. Volkvist had a little bit of a baptism of fire, struggled a little bit. Hopefully once we grow him in terms of attributes, he can be a little bit better in terms of performances. And Didi struggled a little bit as well. Hernandez was very poor. Snodgrass was a bit anonymous. It was just a very poor performance overall. Maybe a bit of a hangover from the last game that we played in the EPL. Nevertheless, we're now getting back into transfer activity, and you can see that we're starting to negotiate with Burnley for Michael Keane. Ideally, I'd like to get a centre-back a little bit better than Michael Keane, because at the moment he's actually not as good as Davies and Dawson, but he has potential to get to 83 overall somehow, despite being 23 and only 75 overall, but he does have potential, to get to 83, so I suppose if we're patient enough, he will get to that sort of overall, but we don't really have the money to spend more than sort of £4.8 million on a centre-back at the moment, because the board are wanting us to have 17 mil left over at the end of the season. So the £4.8 million bid was accepted for Michael Keane, and we're now putting in a contract offer of 30k. Now though, in the background you can see Harold Preciado of Deportivo Cali. For some reason they wanted £1 million plus Mbakani this time. Don't ask me why. We're going to go ahead and accept that offer though, and he will become yet another signing. The Colombian striker joins for £1 million plus Mbakani, and we can now welcome him to the Tigers as well. Welcome him to Hull City. 75 overall, 22 years of age. You can see his attributes there as well. Again, he's just going to be someone that provides a little bit more competition for Abel Hernandez, who probably needs it now, having been pretty poor against Port Vale. He needs to have some sort of competition in that striking role to actually make him perform a little bit better. So Harold Preciado will sign. You guys, of course, voting for that one. And again, I explained why we sold Mbakani. I hope you guys aren't too disappointed about that. I do apologise if you are. In the background, though, you can see we're about to make yet another signing. So we're being very busy already this episode. This is 3 signings now already in one episode. Michael Keane is about to join from Burnley for £4.8 million. Probably the most suggested of any of the centre-backs that I got given in terms of the comments section. I probably had a solid 10 or 15 comments telling me to get Michael Keane, and lots of thumbs up. So we can now welcome him to Hull City as well. Michael Keane becomes a Hull City player as well. 75 overall, 23 years of age. As I mentioned, about 83 potential, which makes him one of the highest potential players in the squad. Probably just behind Bailey and Kozielo, really. But apart from that, he's pretty high up when it comes to potentials at the moment. In the background, though, you can see that we have got £7.8 million left in terms of budget, so it's not looking too bad. We're looking pretty healthy, but obviously the board want us to have 17 mil left at the end of the season, so we'll have to now work on trying to get that through, obviously, prize money at the end of the season from the EPL, and also potentially shirt sales and ticket sales. We'll have to see whether that actually goes into the budget. I'm not entirely sure whether it does. Now though, before we get into deadline day and making any more transfers, it is time for the second game of this episode in the EPL against Manchester United, and Adebayo actually manages to keep his spot. He was very good against Port Vale, really the standout player against Port Vale in the Cup, so he stays in the squad instead of El Mohammadi. The rest of the squad is basically the squad that we played in the other EPL games this season, and Marcus Henriksen is back into the squad, obviously, because of that. Kozielo stays in the squad into the 18th minute there, and Marcus Henriksen with a half chance from the header. I think he was under pressure a little bit, but if he puts it either side of De Gea, he's probably got a good chance of scoring. Into the 21st minute, Leon Bailey going forward and finding Jake Livermore, who goes for the shot from long range, and what an effort it was. It hits the post, it hits the upright, and we were millimetres away there from getting the lead against United, who have been very slow out of the traps in this game. We're going forward again though with Marcus Henriksen, who's been pulling the string so far. He sees the run from Bailey, he hits the post as well, but the rebound is kind to the Jamaican youngster, and Leon Bailey puts in the rebound, and he is on fire. That's 3 goals now for the influential winger in the EPL. Obviously, he changed the game as well against Port Vale. We started to dominate a lot more against Port Vale in the Cup when he came on, so he's looking like a very good signing already, and he's given us the lead here. Henriksen has the game on strings as well. He's been performing very well. Decent shot there from Hernandez, but it's comfortable for De Gea, and in a first half that we've utterly dominated, we are leading 1-0 at half-time. Leon Bailey with the goal, as you can see there. At the edge of the start of the second half, you can see we're getting a chance against Snodgrass with a wonderful ball in, and it should have been converted by Abel Hernandez. That is a glorious, glorious opportunity. In fact, I'm not even sure. I think it might have actually been Andrew Robertson with the pass, but it was a wonderful opportunity. We are disappointed as the manager. Should be doing a lot better there, Abel Hernandez, and he's got to get into form when it comes to scoring. Otherwise, Preciado, the new boy from Deportivo Cali, is going to have a chance to get on terms with him in terms of getting into the starting 11. Right at the end of the game now, United are throwing bodies forward. Martial with the cross into the box. It's headed away by Curtis Davis, only as far as Ibrahimovic, and the shot and the swivel and shot even from Wayne Rooney sees the ball find its way into the back of the net with only 2 minutes to go. And United, who did start to get back into the game in the second half, but they've had far less chances than we have. Some defensive lack of concentration from myself in terms of moving Curtis Davies to a position he really shouldn't have been, has allowed Wayne Rooney to score and break Hull Hearts with just a minute and a half of the game to go. It is still a good result. I would have taken a draw before the game started, but the way in which it happened is disappointing. Preciado did actually make his debut in that game, came on as a substitute, but he only came on as a substitute, so that's why I didn't show it really. Decent ratings for a lot of the players, but Marcus Henriksen, definitely deserving man of the match. He's proving to be a very good player at the moment. I think he might be a main staple in the squad himself. Snodgrass and Abel Hernandez if he bucks his ideas up. But moving on from that game there, a little bit of a disappointing result in the way that it happened, but I suppose a point against United is still not too bad. A lot of you guys have been saying I should sign Shea Adams from Birmingham, but regrettably, he's only just signed for Birmingham from Sheffield United, so I can't actually sign him in this transfer window. He looks very good, very strong and very pacey. So in future, we're definitely going to sign him. He's a guaranteed signing, but I can't make that transfer right now because he just simply, it's impossible. They won't let him go in this transfer window, whatever I pay for him. In the next transfer window, though, in January, we'll try and sign him. I'll try and sign Ebenezer Afori as well, who's been suggested quite a lot. We'll also sign a few other players too. We are, though, making another winger signing, or going to try and do so. And the guy you saw on the screen a moment ago, it's this guy, Marvin Stefaniak from Dynamo Dresden. Now, I realise he doesn't seem very good, but he's actually got really high potential, and I've never heard of him, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have never heard of him either. We put in a £1.6 million bid, but it was rejected by the German second-tier team, I think, in the second Bundesliga, Dynamo Dresden. This guy's actually got 83/84 potential. He's 68 overall at the start of the game, and he's 21 years of age, so it'll be really interesting to see how he develops. This is another sort of Volkvist signing, where we've never heard of him, and we're going to just try and develop him into a legend. Dresden accepted our second bid of £2 million on deadline day. You saw a moment ago that it was deadline day. We've still got about 6 hours of deadline day to go at this point. We're making a 10.5k offer in terms of wages, 4-year contract length, and squad role of squad rotation player, which I think is fair because he's going to be a backup winger really, but we do need a lot more wingers. If Snodgrass or Bailey get injured, we are basically stuffed. We've got Klukas and Maloney, but we need someone else. Marvin Stefaniak then will be that guy who's going to sign for £2 million, 10.5k. You can see his SoFIFA FIFA profile in the description if you don't really know who he is, but we can now welcome Marvin Stefaniak to the Hull City squad as well. And we're hoping that him and Volkvist and Ndidi are going to just like come out of nowhere. We're going to train them a lot. They're going to be like really cheap. We've basically bought them for nothing. I think combined we've paid about 6 million for all three of them or something ridiculous. So they're going to come out of nowhere. We're going to train them. You'll have never heard of them, and then we're going to convert them into legends. I'm determined. He's a very pacey player as well as Marvin Stefaniak, so he can come off the bench and really influence games against fullbacks that are maybe a little bit more tired and fatigued. You can see in terms of selling players, we are selling one last player. We sold McGregor to Everton, I think it was, and we're now selling Dusan Kuciak to Burnley. Yet another goalkeeper we're just not going to use. The two goalkeepers we're going to use for now, really, in this series are going to be Marshall and Jakupovic until we get another better one, but we don't really have the funds to do that right now. So you can see in the background, this is the squad as it looks now after that transfer window, because transfer deadline date is donezo now. We're not going to make any more signings until the next transfer window. Once we've stocked up a little bit more in terms of budget, you can see the starting 11. Not many players that we've bought that are actually going to get straight in the starting 11. Bailey and Kozielo are the only ones, really, but Preciado, Stefaniak, and Ndidi, Keane, and of course Volkvist should all be in the starting 11 pretty soon. They're all going to be players that by the end of the season may well be staples in the starting 11. We're just going to have to be patient with them and wait for them to grow. But I am very excited to see them and see how they do in between then and now. They'll play a lot of cup games as well, so you'll see a lot of them still. They just won't play every game. In the background you can see the table, and incredibly, Hull City are top of the table. Don't ask me how it's happened, but we are top of the table with 2 wins and a draw. I don't think that will carry on. If it does, then oh my word, that's quite incredible. You can see in the background here is the Hall of Fame. Abel Hernandez is still the club's top goal scorer in this series, but Leon Bailey is coming for that record because he's now got 3 goals. You can see most assists, most clean sheets, all that good stuff as well, and most appearances. If there's anything you want me to add to the Hall of Fame, like maybe longest win streak or something like that, then drop that in the comments section. And also in the top right of the screen, you guys can decide who is the player of the episode. This feature is now back for career mode now that we're out of the transfer window, and the player that wins that poll will play in every single game of next episode. That's their award, that's their prize really for winning player of the episode. You can see the guys that you can vote for in the poll in the top right of the screen, and you guys can choose who was the best player in terms of played games in this episode, whether it be because of goals or man of the match performances or whatever, and the player that wins that poll will play in every single game of next episode. But that is it from me. If you've enjoyed this episode of Hull City Career Mode, then feel free to hit the likes button. Subscribe if you're new around here as well, because that massively helps me out. The subscriptions and the support recently have been mind-blowing, so thank you guys once again for all of the support. It's absolutely monumental. So it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a great day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.
No, that's not me. Act like a waste man, that's not me.